Hey guys, Zomfox here, and it's time to do the last team for the USFL or XFL draft recap. We're going to be looking at the XFL side with the St. Louis Battlehawks as the last team to do a draft recap on. Now, the Battlehawks have a lot of hype. A lot of people seem to say they have the best draft of the XFL side, so let's see how they did. Now, the first guy to look at is Anthony Siafi. This was a decent, weird pick. Essentially, Anthony was part of the Bandits back in 2022 in the USFL, didn't make the cut in 2023, didn't play at all in 23, then signed on with the Vipers during the offseason this year, and now is on the Battlehawks. This guy is, all I have to say is if he didn't make the roster for Memphis, it's kind of skeptical to see how good he's going to be here in St. Louis, so we'll just have to wait and see. Then we have a really solid one, Quinterio Cole. This DB was a really solid guy this past year, tied for fourth in interceptions with 3, had 48 total tackles, which is a pretty big number for a DB. 3 TFLs as well, so this guy was able to also be an overall great rusher when it came to stopping the run, I guess the best way to put it. Really solid pickup. This is a much better DB pick than the last one. The fact is Cole is going to be a huge help to this Battlehawk secondary, so we'll just have to see how it plays out. Then we have Sage Dockstader of the Houston Roughnecks. The Battlehawks actually drafted a couple of Roughnecks linemen. They didn't get the elite guys the Roughnecks had, but they did get a couple solid ones, and this is one of them. Dude was a part of the Roughnecks last year, and naturally is going to help them bolster their offensive line. As I said before, offensive line is a huge add for any team, so like this pick. Then we have another Dragon and Antoine Jackson, defensive tackle. A guy that was not really eye-popping this past year, only 20 tackles with only 6 of them being solo, and 1 TFL. Kind of a depth guy to have, a rotation piece when your guys get a bit tired and all that. You can put him in as a run stopper is pretty much what the best use for him is. So not really a huge needle mover type of move, but just a solid one. Then we have one of the 2 big receiver moves in Blake Jackson. 5th in receptions, 9th in receiving yards this past year in the XFL, 440 yards on 45 receptions and 2 TDs. 6 separate 20-plus yard plays, and was a great wide receiver too. The crazy part, he's going to be number 3 on this team because this team has Hakeem Butler, who was one of the best receivers in spring football, and another guy that the team drafted that I think a lot of you already know who I'm talking about. Overall, this is a huge add. Getting Blake Jackson to this team is going to be huge. It's going to make it insanely just daunting triple threat of receivers that really only maybe one other team can really compete with. This is scary. Then we have Kaylon Kennedy of the Las Vegas Vipers. Tied for second in solo tackles, which, yes, tied for second in solo tackles as a DB. That's great. That shows that you're not letting guys get yards after catch. If a dude catches a ball on you, or if you're needing a cover for your zone, that when you get to that guy, they're going down. You're not needing someone else to help you. You're not getting a bunch of, tackles broken on you. It's a really good stat to be good at. Really solid pickup for the back end on the Battlehawks. Then we have Chris Payton-Jones, defensive back from the Sea Dragons as well. Yeah, the Battlehawks drafted a lot of DBs trying to shore up that back end. This guy, solid play this past year. Not nearly as, daunting as Kennedy is as a player to go against, but still a really solid player. And then here's the big one. Yes, we knew about this, as I said, as I've done before. This is the exact image I used in the XFL's first round recap because we knew about the first round and he was the second overall pick to the Battlehawks. Said in the Renegades one, I think Renegades really dropped the ball at their first overall pick. And I think that they really regret it or are going to when they realize that now the Battlehawks have Jackson, Butler, and Pearson. Yes, Shakur Pearson, who was the XFL leader in receptions and yards and was an all-XFL player, is officially going to St. Louis. Yikes, this is actually scary. This trio is going to be insane. He was the only guy with 60 receptions. He had 670 yards. Pretty much it's between him or Corey Coleman as your best receiver in spring football, and that's pretty much the argument. And then third is Hakeem Butler, who is on the Battlehawks. Yeah, this is going to be scary. And then we have Jack Snyder, offensive guard of the Roughnecks. Another offensive lineman from the Roughnecks. Another overall solid pick. Help out the boys up front. Great one. Then we have another guy in Jeston Turntine. He didn't play in the XFL. He is one of those, letter of intent type of guys who sign in the offseason. Going to be interesting to see how good he is with this Battlehawks team. So we'll just have to wait for that one. And then we have Donovan West, a center that played in the Vipers this past season. Another guy to add to the trenches for the Battlehawks. Solid pick. Then the last guy they picked was Mikael Wright, defensive back from the Sea Dragons, another DB pick. And again, it's just, seeing how many of these guys are going to make the roster. These are definitely a lot of these DBs are being picked to compete to see who's going to stay on it. So that'll do it for the Battlehawks draft recap. Now, I think they had a really solid draft. I think that overall they got insanely lucky with the Renegades pretty much botching the first overall pick, in my opinion, to essentially give the Dragons just a free pass to having the best receiving core in the league. It looks like more and more likely that DiNucci will not be back this season. While it could change, it's looking like he is gone. But does it really matter what quarterback you have when you have three of the best receivers in spring football? You literally have two of the three best, pretty much unarguably almost, in Butler and Coleman. So this team's going to be fine. And you're getting offensive line help. I think that overall, this draft is a little bit overrated and overhyped. Because I think that once you get past the two great receiver picks, it's a lot of just type of picks, Like when I look at their DB selections, I look at that and I say, is their DB selections as daunting as what the Defenders or the Roughnecks did in their drafts for the XFL and USFL respectively up front? And I say, no, the Roughnecks literally drafted a full defensive line that would all start, as well as getting backup pieces while already having great D linemen. The Defenders took like the best edge rushers they could to add to the guys they have. Whereas I look at the Dragons and I'm like, they got a couple DBs, but are they even as good as the Michigan Panthers getting Luani and Tornadin? I don't know. I think that the St. Louis Battlehawks definitely had, at worst, the second best draft in the XFL side. I think that both the Renegades and Brahmas royally messed this up. But where do I think they are? I think they're probably more middle of the packish in terms of how great an overall draft is. I think they're probably around fourth or fifth. Still a solid draft, but I think that people saying it's the second best draft are getting caught up on the two great selections of Jackson and Pearson. That's just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. This has been Zomfox. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. I'll be posting a supercut version of this probably tomorrow, January 10th, which will be a culmination of all 8 of these videos. It might be Thursday. You'll see. Watch out in the next few days. I will be posting my top 8, ranking all 8 coaches for the UFL. As always, have a great night.